All right, let's dive in. Today we're taking a look at a story that's been told and retold for centuries. It's the journey of a king. Specifically, we're looking at the Gospel of Matthew and zeroing in on the visit of the Magi, Herod's reaction, and that flight to Egypt.
Yeah, it's a story that never seems to get old, does it?
Nope, not at all. And today we're going to try to uncover some of those historical and symbolic layers that we might miss on a first read.
Right. I mean, think about it. This story has inspired countless works of art, music, literature. It's incredible.
It really is. Speaks to something universal, maybe. But okay, so we start with these magi showing up, right?
Yeah.
Often they're portrayed as kings, but that's not exactly accurate. According to Matthew, they were more like astrologers, wise men.
Yeah, or even like maybe astronomer priest kind of figures.
Yeah.
But either way, experts in their field, and they're following a star.
Which, in ancient cultures, stars were a pretty big deal.
Huge. I mean, they were seen as guides, omens, messengers from the divine. You can imagine the impact of a celestial event like that, especially one that heralds the birth of a king.
It makes you wonder, though, were they literally following like a physical star, or is there more to it?
Right. It could have been a comet or a supernova or some kind of conjunction that was astrologically significant at the time. But, the star could also be symbolic, like a representation of divine guidance or destiny, maybe even knowledge itself.
I like that. And their journey itself, traveling all that way just based on their observations and faith.
Exactly. It says something about how knowledge and beliefs were transmitted and spread back then.
It's pretty incredible when you think about it.
It is.
So these wise men, they roll into Jerusalem and ask, "Where is he who is born King of the Jews?"
Bold move.
Yeah, and King Herod's reaction was, well, he didn't exactly roll out the red carpet.
Let's just say Herod wasn't known for being the chillest ruler.
Mm-hmm.
He was, how do I put this? He was pretty ruthless.
Yeah.
Paranoid even.
Yeah, maybe a little.
I mean, to Herod, this baby, this newborn king, was a direct threat.
You can kind of see his point, right? A new king on the scene.
Totally.
What?
And it really highlights those underlying political tensions, right?
Mm.
Roman occupation,
Mm.
Jewish messianic expectations. And then you've got Herod clinging to power.
It's a powder keg, basically.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because Matthew, the one who wrote this gospel, he keeps pointing back to how these events fulfill Old Testament prophecies.
Oh, absolutely.
Like when the wise men are asking where the king will be born, and the religious leaders quote the prophet Micah, "And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel."
Yeah. Prophecy in Jewish tradition was huge, right?
Absolutely.
So Matthew's connecting Jesus to this lineage, presenting him as the Messiah, fulfilling these ancient promises. It would have really resonated with his audience, who knew the scriptures inside and out.
Okay, so then things get really interesting. Herod, under the guise of wanting to, quote unquote, worship this baby, he sends the wise men to Bethlehem.
Yeah, he was definitely not on the up and up.
Not at all. He tells them to report back, but they get a divine warning in a dream and decide to sneak out of town, leaving Herod fuming.
Can you imagine Herod's reaction when he found out? I bet he was furious.
Oh, absolutely. And that's when Joseph gets the message from an angel to take Mary and Jesus to Egypt.
Think about that journey fleeing in the middle of the night with a newborn. It
Right.
really drives home the danger and uncertainty of the situation.
It definitely humanizes this story. This family on the run, forced into exile, it connects to that bigger theme of Exodus in the Bible, right? A whole people escaping persecution.
You're right. Even Jesus, who for Christians is believed to be destined for greatness, experiences the vulnerability of being a refugee.
That's a really powerful parallel.
Totally. Matthew seems to be drawing a direct connection there between Jesus and Moses, both of them leading their people out of danger.
It's pretty striking. But then, back in Bethlehem, things take a really dark turn.
Yeah.
Herod, he goes on to commit this horrific act of violence.
It's a tough part of the story.
He orders the killing of all male children 2 years old and under. He was trying to eliminate any threat to his throne, no matter the cost.
Right. Historians still debate the historical accuracy of this event, whether it happened exactly as described or not.
Yeah.
But regardless, Matthew's language is, well, it's powerful. He quotes Jeremiah describing those mothers weeping for their children.
It's a gut-wrenching image.
It is, and it raises some really tough questions about power, the effects of fear and paranoia, the impact of violence on innocent lives.
It makes that theme of vulnerability even more poignant, right? Jesus, who Christians believe is God incarnate, experiencing the same fear and danger as any other refugee.
Exactly. It challenges our ideas of what power and divinity look like.
It does, even though he's destined for greatness, he's not immune to suffering or the threats of human violence.
Right, and that makes the story relatable, even across different beliefs. It
Right.
speaks to these universal themes, I think.
Yeah,
Hope, resilience in the face of oppression,
absolutely.
themes that resonate across cultures and throughout history.
So Herod eventually dies, and Joseph gets another message from the angel that it's safe to return to Israel. But instead of going back to Bethlehem, they settle in Nazareth.
Ah, Nazareth.
It's a small town in Galilee, and this detail, it's important.
For sure.
Matthew says it fulfills a prophecy, but it also connects Jesus to Galilee, which was known for its diversity, and sometimes for its rebellious spirit.
Right. And it makes you wonder how growing up in Nazareth, a place that wasn't exactly a center of power, how that might have shaped Jesus's life and his later ministry.
It's a great question.
Matthew really plays up this contrast. Humble beginnings for a child who's destined to be king.
Yeah. It sets the stage for a story that challenges everything we think we are about power and leadership. I mean, just think about everything we've covered so far. We've got stargazing wise men, a paranoid king, prophecies, escapes, a massacre. It's amazing how much is packed into just this one part of Matthew's gospel.
Yeah, and we're just getting started. There's so much more to unpack here. This story, it works on so many levels. It's historical, obviously, but it goes way beyond that. Political intrigue, religious beliefs, human emotions, that age-old battle between good and evil.
And I think it reminds us that even the stories we think we know, they can still surprise us.
Totally. We just got to be willing to really dive in.
Exactly. And sometimes those most profound insights are found in the details we might overlook. Take the gifts the Magi brought, for example: gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Oh, those are great.
Those have always felt so symbolic, but I'll admit I never really grasped the full meaning.
So gold, that represents royalty, wealth, right? It acknowledges Jesus' kingly status. Frankincense, that was used in religious ceremonies, pointing to his divinity and role as a priest. And then myrrh, that was used for anointing the dead, foreshadowing his eventual sacrifice.
Well, it's like they're a little preview of his whole life story, right there at the beginning.
Exactly. And it just shows how Matthew weaves those historical details together with theological significance and symbolism to create this really powerful story.
A story that's lasted for millennia. But what does it all mean for us today? Why should we care about the journey of this ancient king?
That's the big question, isn't it? Well, I think it's a story about hope, the power of hope, even when things seem impossible. Even in those darkest times, a single light can shine brightly and change everything. It challenges us to think about what we'd risk everything for, what we believe in and the legacy we want to leave behind.
For me, I think it emphasizes empathy and understanding. Seeing that vulnerability of refugees, the effects of fear and violence, but also the strength of those who choose love and compassion in tough situations.
I love that. It's a story that continues to challenge and inspire us. It encourages us to examine our own beliefs, our values, and how we act in the world.
Speaking of challenges, I think it's time for that final thought-provoking question you've got for our listeners.
All right, get ready. Remember that star, the one that guided the Magi. What if it's more than just a star in the sky?
Okay, I'm listening. What do you mean?
Well, what if it's like a symbol,
Yeah,
you know, for something deeper?
I like where you're going with this.
So think about it. What's the star that's guiding your journey? What are you really searching for?
It's a good question.
Yeah. What are those things that fuel you, that guide your decisions? And what are those obstacles that get in your way? Maybe even fears that keep you from really following that path.
Yeah, fears are definitely a big one.
For sure. But thinking about it this way, it makes you realize that, we all have our own unique journeys, right? Our own stars to follow.
And just like the Magi, we might end up in some pretty unexpected places along the way, facing challenges, uncertainty, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. And remember, the Magi, they had to trust that star, right? Even when they had no idea where it was leading.
That takes a lot of faith.
It does. They had to believe they were on the right track, even when things got tough.
That's something I think we can all relate to.
Totally. And that's a big part of any journey, isn't it? Trusting your gut, having faith in yourself, and being open to to the unknown.
Being willing to step outside that comfort zone.
Exactly. Sometimes the most amazing things happen when we do that, when we take that leap of faith.
This whole deep dive has been a journey of discovery in itself. I mean, we've uncovered so much hidden meanings, historical context, so many big questions.
Yeah, and I think in doing so, we've gained a new appreciation for this story. I mean, it's ancient, but it still feels so relevant today.
Absolutely. It's a story that keeps sparking conversations, challenging our assumptions, and making us look inward a little bit.
And who knows? Maybe by exploring this journey, the journey of this king, we discover something new about our own journeys, too.
Maybe we do. Well, until next time, keep diving deep, everyone. Keep asking questions.
And keep following that star.
And may your journeys be filled with wonder and discovery.
Well said.
You know, it's so easy to just get caught up in everything and lose sight of, well, of that bigger picture.
It's true. Life has a way of doing that, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
But I think this story, it kind of reminds us to hit pause every now and then,
Yeah.
take a breath,
Yeah.
and reconnect with those things that really matter.
Like what?
Well, like, what are we truly passionate about? What kind of impact do we want to have on the world? What legacy are we going to leave behind?
It's a lot to think about.
It is. But those magi, they were driven by something bigger than themselves, right? Something that made them take on this incredible journey.
They were definitely on a mission.
And don't forget, their journey wasn't exactly a walk in the park, was it?
Nope.
They faced all sorts of unknowns, took risks, probably had their fair share of doubts along the way, too.
But they kept going. That star, it kept them moving forward.
Exactly. Which makes me think maybe our own quote-unquote stars aren't always going to be these, like, super obvious, shining beacons.
Right.
Maybe they're more like these little glimmers.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, these faint lights that we got to pay attention to, trust.
And then have the courage to actually follow.
Exactly. And that takes guts, doesn't it?
It does. And you know what? Sometimes I think following those little glimmers might mean doing things that are a little bit scary.
Like what?
I don't know, maybe challenging how things have always been done.
Yeah,
Maybe going against the grain a little bit.
I like that.
Or just choosing a path that's different from the one everyone expects us to take.
It's not always easy, that's for sure.
Nope. But sometimes I think it's necessary. It makes you wonder, what if those magi, what if they just ignored that star?
Or let fear get the better of them.
Right, yeah. Would anything have changed? Would the story have unfolded the same way?
Good question. And it's something we can all ask ourselves, isn't it?
Right.
What chances are we missing out on? Because we're too afraid to take a risk. What amazing things could be waiting for us if we just had the courage to take that first step?
I love that. What potential is waiting to be unlocked? That's the question.
That's the question.
This whole deep dive has been quite the journey. I mean, we've uncovered so much, learned about history and faith, and really tapped into that human experience,
And it's challenged us, hasn't it? To think differently, to question things we thought we knew for sure,
Yeah.
and to connect with something bigger than ourselves.
So as we wrap things up here, I want to encourage everyone listening. Think about your journey. What's your guiding star? What can you do, like right now, today, to move closer to it? And most importantly, have the courage to trust that journey, wherever it might take you.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never stop reaching for those stars.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Until next time.